Zara rolled her eyes. We will see. The next morning came too quickly. Zara had overslept, she grumbled, dragged her feet and decided to take the bush path shortcut to school to avoid walking with the crowd. Halfway along the path, she saw a woman standing under the shade of a large cashew tree, looking around with an uncertain expression. She was clearly not from the village. Her clothes were modern and stylish, her handbag too new to belong to anyone in the village. She stepped forward with a polite smile. "Good morning, dear. Could you point me toward the main road? I think I took a wrong turn." Zara slowed, glanced at her neat blouse and gold wristwatch, and smirked. "Do I look like Google Maps to you?" The woman blinked, caught between surprise and confusion. I just needed directions." "Then maybe you should ask someone who has time to play tour guide." Zara tilted her chin higher. Without another word, she walked past, her sandals tapping against the damp ground. The woman's eyes followed her for a moment, before she turned and walked in the opposite direction. By the time Zara reached school, she had almost forgotten the exchange. It was just another small encounter she had brushed off. That afternoon, Mrs. Kate rang the assembly bell herself, a rare thing that drew even the laziest students to attention. Parents had been called too, and they now sat at the back of the gathering murmuring among themselves. The visitor hadn't yet spoken, but she was seated at the front, facing away from the students. Zara did not notice her face. She was too busy looking for her friends in the crowd. Mrs. Kate stepped forward, smiling brightly. "Our special guest will now address you." The visitor rose from her seat and turned, and Zara froze. It was the same woman from the bush path, the same one she had refused to help. The woman's gaze swept over the gathered students, pausing for just a fraction of a second when it met Zara's eyes. Then she smiled politely at the rest of the audience. Zara's heartbeat thudded in her ears. The schoolyard went silent as the visitor stepped forward. She introduced herself with a warm smile. "My name is Mrs. Elaine. I am here to give back to a place that reminds me of where I grew up. After your senior exams, I will sponsor 5 students through university, full scholarships, all expenses paid." The crowd erupted. Parents whispered excitedly, students grinned at each other. A chance like this almost never came to a small village like theirs. Mrs. Elaine raised her hand to quiet them. "But I would choose carefully, not just based on grades, but on character. You never know when you might be meeting someone who can change your life." Her eyes scanned the crowd again and locked on Zara. "Stand up, please," Mrs. Elaine said. Zara's stomach dropped. Slowly she rose, trying to keep her face neutral. Mrs. Elaine's voice was calm, but every word carried. "This morning I was lost on a bush path on my way to this school. I asked this young lady for help, and she told me that she was not my Google Maps." She paused, tilting her head. "Well, dear, I am not your Google Maps either, so I will not be pointing you towards this scholarship." Gasps exploded from the students and parents. Mrs. Elaine turned back to the audience. "Character matters. The way you treat people, especially strangers, says more about you than any exam score. Remember that." She began calling names. One by one, students stepped forward to accept their scholarship letters, their parents beaming with pride. Zara stood frozen in the middle of the yard, heat burning her cheeks, every clap for someone else feeling like a slap to her own pride. The 5 names were called. Hers wasn't one of them. As the assembly ended, Zara's father walked past her without a word. Her mother sighed heavily, following him. Zara stayed rooted in place, watching Mrs. Elaine speak warmly with the chosen students. She remembered her mother's warning, "A greeting opens doors." She remembered her father's, "A leader's child must be the first to greet." And she realized too late, sometimes the door you slam shut in pride is the one you wish to walk through most. Hope you learned something today. See you in the next video.